The man in the basement. Some houses are old, some houses are haunted, and some houses are cursed. This story takes place in a small town in Pennsylvania. A quiet place, the kind of town where everyone knows each other, where people leave their doors unlocked, where nothing bad ever seems to happen. At least, that's what people want to believe. The house on Turner Street. For as long as anyone could remember, the house on Turner Street had been empty. A massive Victorian-style home, built in the late 1800s, sitting at the edge of town. The kind of house that should have been beautiful, should have been full of life, but it wasn't. It was abandoned, forgotten. And yet, sometimes people saw movement in the windows. Sometimes they heard things, low murmurs coming from the basement. The kids in town made up stories about it. Some said a witch used to live there. Others swore it was a place where people went missing. And then a new family moved in. They didn't believe in ghost stories, didn't listen to the warnings. They just wanted a fresh start. For the first few weeks, everything seemed fine. And then the noises started. The basement. It began with small things. Footsteps in the middle of the night, a soft creaking sound from the floorboards. But then, the father, David, noticed something strange. The basement door. It was always unlocked. No matter how many times he turned the key, no matter how many times he double-checked, by morning, it was always wide open. At first, he thought it was his wife or their teenage son, Michael, forgetting to close it, but they swore it wasn't them. One night, David decided to test it. He locked the basement door, deadbolt and all. Then, he placed a chair against it, just to be sure. And when he woke up the next morning, the chair had been moved. The door was open, and there was something else. A single footprint. Wet, dirty, leading out of the basement, like someone or something had been walking upstairs. David's heart pounded. He grabbed a flashlight and stood at the top of the stairs, staring into the darkness below. He couldn't see anything, just blackness swallowing the bottom of the steps. Then, a whisper. "Come down." David slammed the door shut. He told himself he imagined it, that it was just the wind or the house settling. But deep down, he knew better. Michael's discovery. Michael had always been a curious kid. He didn't believe in ghosts, didn't believe the house was haunted. So one night, when his parents were asleep, he decided to go down into the basement. The stairs creaked under his weight as he descended. The air was thick, damp, like a place that hadn't been touched in years. At first, it just looked like any other basement. Old furniture covered in sheets, rusted pipes running along the ceiling. But then, Michael noticed something weird. At the far end of the basement, there was a door he had never seen before. It was metal, rusted shut, bolted from the outside. Why would anyone need to lock a door from the outside? Michael reached for the handle, but the moment his fingers touched the cold metal, a bang erupted from the other side. A single heavy pound. Michael froze. Then, bang, 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 like something was slamming against the door, like something was trying to get out. Michael ran. He didn't look back, didn't stop until he was in his room, under his blankets, heart racing in his chest. He never told his parents what he saw. But that night, something changed. The man in the basement. The noises got worse. Whispers at night, scratching sounds behind the walls. One night, Michael woke up to the sound of breathing, right next to his bed. He turned on his lamp. No one was there. But the closet door? It was open, and there were footprints on the carpet, leading from the basement. Michael finally told his dad everything. The footprints, the noises, the locked door in the basement. David had heard enough. The next morning, he grabbed his tools, marched down to the basement, and unbolted the mysterious door. Inside was a room, small, windowless, and in the middle of the room was a chair, straps attached to the arms and legs, like someone had been tied there, like someone had been left there. The walls were covered in scratches, deep, jagged, and on the floor was a single phrase carved into the wood. "He still lives here." David didn't sleep that night. The next morning, the family packed their bags. By the end of the week, they were gone. And the house on Turner Street, it's still empty, still waiting. And sometimes, late at night, people still see movement in the basement window, like someone or something is still down there. That's tonight's story. If you ever move into an old house and find a locked door in the basement, maybe it's best if you never open it. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more terrifying tales. and let me know in the comments. What's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you in your own home? Until next time, sleep well. The passenger who never left. Some places are haunted by their past. Some places hold on to memories refusing to let go. And some places refuse to let them leave. This story takes place on a quiet highway in rural Texas. A long, empty stretch of road where gas stations are few and far between. Where the nights are darker than anywhere else. Where the only sound is the hum of tires against asphalt. Until you realize you're not alone. The Lone Rider Motel. There's a little motel just off Highway 281. It's been there since the 1950s, the kind of roadside stop that hasn't changed in decades. A flickering neon sign, a handful of rooms, and a single clerk behind the desk. Truckers pass through, road trippers looking for a cheap place to crash. But there's one room, room 6, that nobody rents anymore. Because something is wrong with it. The clerk, a man in his 60s with deep lines on his face, never talks about it. But if you ask for a room and he starts shuffling through the keys and he stops at room 6 for just a second too long, don't take it, because some people who sleep in room 6 don't wake up. And those who do, they never talk about what they saw. Ethan's last stop. Ethan was a long-haul trucker. He had been on the road for nearly 16 hours straight, exhausted, his eyes burning from the glow of his headlights. He wasn't planning to stop. But when he saw the Lone Rider Motel glowing in the distance, he figured one night of sleep couldn't hurt. The old man behind the desk barely looked up when Ethan walked in. Just slid a key across the counter. $40, room 6. Ethan didn't think twice. He took the key, grabbed his duffel bag, and stepped into the room. It smelled like dust and stale air. The bedspread was old, the furniture outdated. A single window overlooked the empty parking lot. He locked the door, threw his bag onto the chair, and collapsed onto the bed, barely kicking off his boots before exhaustion took him. And then, at exactly 3:07 a.m., he woke up. The room was too cold. The air felt heavy, like something was pressing down on his chest. Then, in the dim glow of the neon light outside, Ethan saw it. The bathroom door was open, but he had closed it before going to bed. His heart started to pound. That's when he heard it. A slow, dragging sound. Like something was crawling across the floor, and then a whisper. So quiet, so close that it felt like it was right beside his ear. You picked the wrong room. Ethan sat up so fast his head spun. He fumbled for the lamp, but when he flicked it on, the room was empty. No one was there. The bathroom? Empty. The closet? Empty. But when he turned back to the bed, the sheets were pulled down. Like someone or something had been lying right next to him. Ethan ran. Didn't bother grabbing his things, didn't even check out, just sprinted to his truck, heart hammering against his ribs. As he sped off down the highway, he glanced at the rearview mirror and nearly lost control of the wheel. Because in the back seat of his truck, there was a man sitting there, face pale, eyes hollow, wearing the same clothes Ethan had been wearing when he checked in. Then, the man grinned and whispered, "Drive." The haunting of room 6, Ethan was never seen again. His truck was found 2 days later, parked on the side of the road, engine still running. The driver's seat, empty, but in the passenger seat was a motel key. For room 6, that's tonight's story. If you ever find yourself on a lonely highway, looking for a place to sleep, choose carefully. Because some places don't just offer a bed for the night. Some places offer something else. And once you check in, you might never leave. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more terrifying tales. And let me know in the comments. Have you ever stayed somewhere that didn't feel quite right? Until next time, sleep well. The Chilling House, a nightmare come to life. Some houses hold memories. Some houses hold secrets. And some houses hold you. Tonight, I'm going to tell you about a house in North Carolina, one that no longer appears on maps. Why? Because everyone who entered it never came out the same. The house that wasn't there yesterday. In October 2014, Erica Langley, a photographer known for her love of abandoned places, drove through a back road near Asheville, North Carolina. She'd taken that road dozens of times before, always passing the same empty fields and dense tree lines. But that morning, there was a house. A Victorian-style home, pale blue with white trim, sitting at the edge of a cornfield. A strange thing? Locals swore it wasn't there the day before. But now it stood, perfectly intact, like it had been waiting. Erica, always chasing the perfect shot, couldn't resist. She parked, grabbed her camera, and stepped through the rusted gate. That was her first mistake. The door that opened itself. The front door was slightly ajar, swinging in the breeze. On the porch, fresh footprints led inside, barefoot, too large to be hers. But there were no other cars around. "Hello?" she called out. Silence, except for a faint creaking sound, like someone rocking in a chair. Erica hesitated, but her curiosity got the better of her. She stepped inside, the house that didn't belong to this time. The moment she crossed the threshold, the air changed. It wasn't just cold, it was heavy, like the air before a storm. The furniture was pristine, like someone had just finished dusting. But the style? It was like stepping into the 1920s. A rotary phone sat on a small table. The clock on the mantel ticked steadily, 3:07 p.m. But her phone? No signal, no Wi-Fi. That's when she noticed the photos on the wall. Black and white, faded, and one in particular caught her eye. A family portrait. Father, mother, 2 children, but their faces were scratched out, all except for the youngest child, a little girl with long dark hair, and underneath the photo written in smudged ink, "Don't forget her name." The girl in the hallway. Erica shivered. She turned to leave, and froze. A child's laughter echoed from the hallway, slow, playful. Then footsteps, small, light, but getting closer. "Hello?" Erica whispered, raising her camera, and then she saw her. A little girl, standing at the end of the hallway, pale, too pale. Her hair hung in damp strands around her face, and in her hands, she held a broken doll, its head hanging by a thread. "Do you know my name?" the girl asked, voice flat. Erica took a step back. I don't." The girl's expression darkened. "Then you can't leave. The room that shouldn't exist." Panicked, Erica spun around and ran for the front door. But the hallway stretched longer than before. Doors on either side, all slightly open. From behind each one, whispers, soft, urgent. "Say her name, say her name, say her name." Erica bolted into the nearest room, slamming the door behind her. And that's when she realized it was empty, except for one thing, a mirror. Tall, antique, cracked down the middle. And in the reflection, she saw the little girl standing right behind her, smiling. Erica screamed and stumbled backward. But her reflection didn't move. It stood there, watching. Then, the girl whispered, "Too late." The final photograph. No one knows exactly what happened to Erica. Her car was found on the side of the road, keys still in the ignition. Her camera? It was discovered weeks later by a hiker, half buried in the dirt near the house. But here's the chilling part. There was one final photo on the memory card. It wasn't the house. It wasn't the hallway. It was a black and white portrait of a little girl holding a broken doll, standing right behind Erica. And underneath it, the words, "You forgot my name. The house is gone, but the girl remains." After Erica vanished, locals noticed something even stranger. The house, gone. The plot of land was empty, as if nothing had ever been there, but people still see her, standing by the roadside, watching, waiting. And if you ever pass through Asheville, North Carolina and hear a little girl whispering, "Do you know my name?" don't answer, because if you get it wrong, you might just become the next photograph on the wall. That's tonight's story. If you enjoyed it, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share your thoughts in the comments. Would you step into a house that wasn't on the map? Until next time, sleep well.